Hey, what's up? It's your boy South Central, man. We back in the building. We got a KKK member. And it's funny to see that growing up in the hood, hearing his story, we got a lot in common as far as what we believe in. And what I've heard from black people in the community and how they view the race, right? Now, today it's not so cool to say because honestly, Donald Trump is in the building. And most people hate Donald Trump. And it's causing a lot of separatism when it comes to race. So we're going to review this, and we're going to review this thoroughly. Let's get into it.
Calling me a racist is true. I'm a racist. Damn right I'm a racist, and I don't hide that. I'm a racist person, but I'm not a bigot. I don't hate anybody, but I'm a racist. A racist is somebody that loves their race and loves their people.
All right, Stephen. Stephen, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in New Albany, Mississippi.
And tell me about your childhood. You had both of your parents growing up as a kid?
My dad wasn't really in my life that much. My dad was a Vietnam veteran. He had a lot of health issues. He wasn't in my life a lot. I think my dad got in my life when I was about 16 years old. And my mother practically raised me and my brother herself. And I had a mother that was a very strong religious woman that raised me and my brother. So, I had a good childhood. I can't complain. I had a stern mother that taught me, to be an honest person and a good person. So, I had a decent childhood. I really did.
And what kind of kid were you in high school?
I was a loner. I stayed to myself. Because I still to this day, I can't tolerate certain people. I just can't, and it's not really a racial issue. It's just I can't be around a bunch of people. I just don't like being around them.
Was there racism in your family?
When I grew up, in a time when the riots in LA was going on. I'd be watching TV and stuff like that, and you'd see when they pulled that old boy out of that truck in LA, the Rodney King stuff. And I grew up in a very racial time, so I grew up in a time where this stuff was not being forced down me, but maybe at the time I shouldn't have seen that as a child, but this was something that I seen a lot. It wasn't hidden from me. Racial stuff was not hidden from me. So yes, it was a part of my life. It was a part of my childhood. It was Mississippi burning when I was a kid. I always looked up to the Ku Klux Klan. I always admired the Ku Klux Klan. I always said that I'd be a great leader one day. I always said that.
So far with this information that he's given about his life, most people in the African American community could resonate with that as far as the father not being around. Now, I'm from LA, so I wasn't born around when Rodney King riots happened, but I was born to see the turmoil behind it. Now, if I was white as a kid, seeing white people get beat up for no reason, I could understand the method to his madness, but I will also say that was propaganda push a narrative. That makes sense. Now, I don't fault him for seeing what he's seen as a kid, but I would say it doesn't help. It did not help, right? The situation when it comes to him tolerating other races, because at the time it was very racial. So I can understand where he's coming from, but growing up in the hood, we literally think the same thing as him. From what I'm hearing so far, he sounds like if he didn't have a race to him or didn't have an accent to him, I would think that okay, he grew up like me, if that makes sense. But we'll get more into it. Might get more egregious, we don't know.
Did you have relatives that were in the Klan?
My grandfather was a very racial person, but I'm not going to say he was a Ku Klux Klan member. But no, the Klan thing is something that I took on my own. It's something that I knew as a child that I'd do this. This is my calling. This has always been my calling.
So you're the Imperial Wizard.
I'm an Imperial Wizard. That's the highest rank as far as the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah.
And Mississippi is one of the strongest states for the Klan.
It is. It's one of the Mississippi White Knights is one of the most respected groups as far as the Ku Klux Klan goes.
Yeah.
We have the most respect. I had left the Mississippi White Knights for a little bit and started the North Mississippi White Knights, but now we're going to bring it back. We're going to get everything situated again, get the Claverins in order, and start.
Now, the more I hear this, it sounds like he from a gang in a way. and me growing up in South Central, how we value gangs. Like, we look up to them and we want to be a part of it. We want to, like, this is our fathers, right? When our fathers is missing outside the home, this is what we value because this is what we look up to. We don't have any strong leaders in our neighborhood that we honor because culture takes a part in it as well. Yeah, we have pastors and things like that and people who will preach to us and preach the right things into our mind, right? But we value what's popular at the time because the culture changed. So at that time, especially growing up in South Central, how he explained how he looked up to the Ku Klux Klan and wanted to be a part of it, that's how we looked at gangs in our neighborhoods. And it's funny to hear the correlation between the two because, like I said before, it seems like we grew up the same way. We just chose different paths, if that makes sense. His was more racial, but ours is more about tribal, if that makes sense. But as a kid, you only know what you know, right? You only know what you're taught. You only know what's around you. But how can you fault a person who thinks like that because he grew up around it? Now, when it comes to him saying that he's racist, I believe that every person is tied to, is biased in a way, right? If you see a black person boxing a white person and you happen to be black, a lot of times if you don't know the two are, you don't know the two, right? It's hard for you to pick as far as personality. You don't know these two. Most of the time we gonna pick the black guy. Now, I expect the white person to feel the same way, right? But it's not okay for them to say that due to what black people say that they have been through in this country, right? We have a history here. So I could see how this would be cringy to certain people, but you have to put yourself in his shoes and try to understand why he thinks the way he thinks. I don't agree with it wholeheartedly because I'm not a racist person, but also I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up white. I didn't grow up around the Ku Klux Klan where predominantly around my area, this is what ruled around my area without a father. So I had to look up to something. Okay. And I don't expect him to understand how gangs work in California or South Central, if that makes sense. So, let's get back into it.
Thing back over again. So I've just moved back from Portland, Oregon. So I've got to.
Portland for a while.
I lived up there for 4 years. It's very different. But I did love it. I love the weather. I love the beauty. And there's a lot of white people there, but they're liberal-minded. They have no idea. I was married to a Norwegian girl, and her family was very liberal in mindset and judgmental people. They judged me for being in the Klan. I'm no longer married to her, but at the time that was the love of my life, and it didn't work out. It just didn't work out because people are judgmental. They're too judgmental about everything you do in your life. And at the end of the day, they need to look under their doorstep and sweep and see what they've got going on in their life. Most people that judge me for being in the Ku Klux Klan and hate me for being in the Ku Klux Klan, there's an underlining reason for that. They're gay, they're homosexual, they're a race mixer, no, something like that. But I don't judge anybody. I give anybody a chance.
So damn, man, you can't. They just can't like your lifestyle, bro. It has to be one of those things. Damn, bro, nigga, ignorant. He ignorant. See, shit. White could be ignorant.
But if you want to judge me and say, hey, this is that's wrong for the Ku Klux Klan, then I'm going to judge you, because you're giving me an open door to judge you. So I'm not really a judgmental person. I don't force my beliefs on anybody until they want to judge me. So.
Interesting. So the South is notorious for racism. There's a long history of slavery, segregation, all kinds of issues that you guys get.
The poverty thing is that we have, like I said, I lived in Washington State. I lived in Portland, Oregon, and we have a lot more freedoms here than I did up there. So there's positive and negatives about the state of Mississippi, but I love the state of Mississippi. It's my home. I love it. There's great things about the state of Mississippi, and I love it. And the blacks tend to want to have a reason to bitch. Sorry about my language. They want to have a reason to gripe. They want to have a reason to throw a fit. They want to have a reason to to tear shit up, and that's where the Ku Klux Klan comes in to put a stop to it and say it's not going to happen. You know, I've had corrupt cops in the city of Tupelo lose their job because Ku Klux Klan was involved, because we wasn't going to have it. We wasn't going to have it.
Now this is where I kind of draw the line in the sand, sort of, because that's just a good Samaritan to me. You don't need to be a part of the Ku Klux Klan to stop black people from tearing shit up, because I don't agree with it either, right? And I understand in this country people are, you know, tend to believe that their problems is worse than everybody else's problems, and they deserve to do violent protests and destroy things based on how they're feeling at the time. I don't agree with that either, right? You shouldn't be able to make everybody else feel uncomfortable just because you're not happy about a certain subject and or it didn't go your way, or people voted your way out. That's just how voting go, right? You don't have a right to destroy everything or destroy your own community or destroy somebody else's community. I get it, but you don't need to be a part of the Klan to or act like this fighting force is doing good. And it seems like to me too, me being from South Central, even gang members who get on the podium, they always try to make it seem like we do good too. I know we do a lot of bad shit, but look, bro, we be feeding the kids sometimes, but you busting at the ops too, bro. So it's like you could try, like those who know, right? I'm not saying that I don't know anything about them, like, you know, and this is an interesting take. This is an interesting information to me because I'm not from Mississippi. I ain't never been there, right? So, okay, there is a Ku Klux Klan's presence there. So it does validate certain things that I heard from black people that's from the South, right? I just thought that it was just complaining too, right? Because I'm a conservative, so it does take a bit of a perspective for me. But I'm just saying that most people that's in these organizations tend to be biased towards their own organization, if that makes sense. They want people to not take a step back and say, hey, look, man, like, we do good things too. We get corrupt cops out of there. We try to stop black people from bitching and doing bad stuff. But that was a good Samaritan thing. You could have took off the hood and did that, and we would have respected you more, other than wearing the hood and saying I did that. You get what I'm saying? Just a little perspective you wouldn't learn and listen.
Up for my people in the city of Tupelo and in the state of Mississippi. But blacks blame it on themselves. They do. They're so like this officer that got shot in Atlanta. I mean, the officer that shot that guy in Atlanta took his taser, man. But what people don't understand, if you read the Turner Diaries, it plainly says it, that if you get the law, that's the last line of defense between us and communism. If you get rid of law enforcement, then that gives them, the communists, an open door to come in and take over. And I got a 19-year-old daughter, and that era, her age, around that age, is going to be the worst. I don't know what this country's going to become, because they're freeloaders. They don't want to work. All they want to do is smoke dope. They don't want to work. They don't want to do right. And you know,
he sounds like a concerned father. A concerned. Bruh. He sounds like a concerned American patriot father. Without the hood, that's what he sounds like. But the fact that you are part of the Ku Klux Klan, it kind of eliminates your argument. But it also draws people in because we want to know what you think. I think the same exact thing. Like, I honestly, I can agree with you on most things. I just don't agree with the separatism when it comes to race. I don't get the point of that. But I do, when people bring up racism and the Ku Klux Klans and the hoods, me being from a predominantly black community, we say the same shit. Like, we got people that say the same thing who don't like when white people are dating black people or vice versa, right? It's just how it is, right? Even when we dating outside our race, as far as Mexicans. So I can't fault you for that, because we ain't got no hoods, and mainstream favors how we could, basically what I'm saying, we could say that out loud without discipline. But you can't, right? We look at you like a weirdo and a racist monster. But I promise you, we can name a few pro-black activists who's loved by the mainstream, all right? Who got the camera on them all the time with no, like, they even made memes out of them. Okay, it's not as distasteful to society as you're as it coming out of your mouth. We're gonna get back into it. This is fun. This is fun to watch.
Try to instill that in my daughter, and I try to tell my daughter, that is going to be the worst generation ever. My generation was slacking on a lot of things, but that era, that generation is going to be, we're fucked. I mean, this country's fucked. But that's where the Ku Klux Klan is going to come in and say, we're not going to have it. We're not going to have it. We're not going to put up with it.
What is the basic idea behind the Klan? It's not just as simple as racism, right?
My belief and my goal for the Ku Klux Klan is, it's not really, it is a racial thing, because you can only be white to be in the Ku Klux Klan. But my goal for the Ku Klux Klan is to protect this country from all out invasion, from anything, from any type of thing. The goal of the Ku Klux Klan is for the advancement of the white race. I'm not a bigot, but I'm a white separatist. I'm not a white supremacist. I don't consider my race superior. But we have to have organizations like the Ku Klux Klan to instill the children and the people that want to join, to teach them that there's a greater cause. There's a greater cause. Being a Klansman is one of the greatest things in the world. I mean, I love it. I wouldn't take anything for it. And my judge, I don't give a shit. That's one
You
thing
are
about
fake
me.
news.
I don't care what anybody says about me. You can judge me. You can say anything you want about me. It doesn't affect me. Because the minute that a person takes time out of their day to judge me and say I'm wrong or I'm this and that means I've got to them. I've affected them. Because I don't give a shit what anybody else does. I don't. But the minute that they take time, it's like when people come to my rallies and they make them signs up and all this shit. You took time out of your day to go make a sign, go buy that marker, go buy that poster board. I affected you. I won.
Now, so far, that's a great, what he just said. That's a great way to deflect constructive criticism from your fellow Americans, man. I think he got a couple of things right, because I'm not saying just because I agree with it, but I can understand where he's coming from as far as his daughter and the generation under me. All right, if I would think we're probably around the same age, or maybe not, I don't know, but it seems like to me he got a lot of things right as far as caring about your country. But the Ku Klux Klan ain't gonna do it. It's the American people that will come together and do it, right? We not this country isn't just based off of Ku Klux Klan need to come together and stop the enforcement from coming to America and stop communism. That's an American's job, right? You have to protect your country. You have to protect the sovereignty of your country. It's not just a Ku Klux Klan. So I think you're taking a lot of the burden when it comes to your organization. I don't think it's your job to do all that. I think it's every American's job to do all that. Now, when it comes to constructive criticism, you guys need to hear it. No person is above the law when it comes to criticism, any organization, right? As far as Crips, Bloods, Ku Klux Klans, Asian Crips, or whatever the hell your organization you're a part of. Nobody's immune from scrutiny. But when it comes to you saying the things that you're saying and trying to deflect, it seems like you deflecting. Now, if they coming out with posters and things like that, that's their own way of rebutting with you. That's their own way of getting their word out there. But you do deserve some type of scrutiny from your fellow Americans, because I think that you got it wrong when it comes to you being a separatist. You're not gonna win that way, right? We win by coming together because we're all American. We ain't got everything right. We ain't all lived in this perfect world. You know what I'm saying? And I would say this to a black, pro-black person, pro-black individual. We can't win separated. We can only win together, because we're all Americans, and it's all our duties to protect our family in this country. Now, when you start pushing everybody else to the side and saying no, this is our job, and then you put a lot of burden on yourself, and plus we don't trust you. Now, if you look into the history of the Ku Klux Klan, y'all were the Democrats. Y'all were the dummies. Y'all were the ones who were built by the Democrats. Okay, I don't think you understand your history. I don't think you understand what you were built for. You're like a psyop, right? And I'm not trying to spit on their organization, but when you look at the history, the same thing you're against now, you are a part of. That makes sense. The founding fathers of this, right, was to scare black people from voting conservatively, right? And when black people are voting for Democrats, they're on your side, right? although you don't like that, but that's the history of your people. Now you may have changed it for sure, for shit show, I get it, but you got to understand that that's who you wanted us, that's what y'all organization was here for, to keep us in within that room of voting.
It's an accomplishment for me. So, you know.
So separatism is a big part of the Klan?
I think that the only way that the white race will ever survive, is we separate. And now I'm not saying that we get rid of the blacks. I'm saying that give the blacks, just like the Indians, give them their own homeland, give them where they need to go, give them just as much rights as the white man does. But you put the biggest wall up like Donald Trump's building on the southern border, and where it's separated. You're separate. The whites and blacks are separated. That's the only way we're going to survive.
And so does the same thing apply to gays and Mexicans?
You know, it's going to be odd for me to say this, but love is a hell of a thing. And it's going to be really odd for me to say this, but love sees no color in some ways. It's weird for me to say that, but it's the truth. Love does not see a color. But you got to love somebody. That doesn't mean if you get with a black person, you sell out your race. You act black, and you sell out your race. You love a person not for their color, but for who they are as an individual. That's the reason I say love sees no color. And it took me a while to get to that point. I guess living in Portland taught me that. But, you know, I've experienced. If you get out of the state of Mississippi and you go other places and you experience things, you find that love is an odd thing. It's an odd thing. It's worse than any drug you can have in your life. That's why I'm saying I married the love of my life and I'm still in love with her, but it's over and done with. But you don't see a color when it comes to love. You don't. But you still need to have love for your race. You need to have love for your people. And is race mixing wrong? Race mixing is exactly wrong. You stay with your people. But
your ex-wife was white?
She was white. Oh yeah, definitely.
We're gonna leave it there, man. It seemed like dude got some black cheese. This is the most politically correct KKK member I ever have seen, like ever. Like, right? The most understanding. I think all Ku Klux Klan members should take a trip to Portland and hang with hang with the hippies for a minute to understand things. Now, you okay with, I guess he didn't elaborate when it comes to this, you know, gay stuff and Mexicans, but it seemed like they're opening up to race mixing, but it's wrong, right? It's like, it's wrong, but he can understand it a little bit, because love will make you do some things, man. And I don't know what opened him up to that, but see, it looked like he's getting somewhere, and it seemed like he's open to change, although he grew up a certain way, probably not understanding it, hating it, right? But I think that life changes people, right? When you get out and see new things, it changes people. And I think that most people in the black community should do the same thing. Get out and see new things. It's hard for you to keep that mindset, to keep a racist, separatist mindset when you see other things, right? And he's holding on to that ideology as much as he can, but I feel like the more he's growing, the more he sees, the more it's expanding. Because I know, like, even when just the last thing that we just seen, he probably wouldn't even think like that growing up under the Klansman membership. I don't think he would think that way, but something has changed in his life, or his rhetoric, to where he's seen the people that he probably look up to race mix or whatever hell, our grandkids, Ray. I don't know. He's seen something for him to think like that. So, yeah, I mean, I feel optimistic. I think that if people want to change, they have to get out of the echo chamber. That's for people that's living in the projects, who ain't never seen nothing different. In order for you to change the way you think, you have to go around. You have to meet other people. You have to see how other people are living. Go to Utah, see how these people live, right? And it will change the way you think, right? You think that black people are only people that struggle and right, white privilege until you see a white bum, until you see a whole trailer park and see that there is a certain thing as white people struggling, right? And it's not just you. It's not a you thing. It's not a, you know what I'm saying? Due to our history, I can get where you can come up with that assumption, but we came a long way, and in order for you to see the change, You have to go outside of your echo chamber and not give into the rhetoric, because it's easy to. It's easy to give into hate. It's easy to get into finger pointing other than change your life, because it's a human thing to do, right? If you don't want things to change and you get in your way as far as favor, you're not going to do things to challenge that. You're going to go with that because it's easier, right? So let me know what you guys think, man. Did I take it too far by reviewing this? Did you learn anything from this? To me, I've seen this a long time ago, and I like to review things that I'm kind of interested in. And I hope you guys got what I got from this, man. Let me know what you guys think, man. South Central, we out.